Greetings from Atlanta on my very first attempt at sending a message directly to our sales leadership across the country. As you can tell by the screen recording that you're seeing here, I'm actually using my iPad to screen record a tool that I'm going to reintroduce to your Salesforce later this evening. So what I want to get going on with here is the kind of slide that up out of the way. I wanted to talk to you just tonight, just a short message on contests and scoreboards. It's that time of year where we try to get our year started off well. We've had a pretty good jump out of the gates in January, and we're staring down a February with, some crazy weather in some parts and really some struggles with COVID, obviously, in other parts of the country. So it's always a great time to have contests. I see a whole bunch of Super Bowl block pool parties out there that block pool contests that you guys are running, the Squares contest, and I just think it's a great time to do that, and it's not too late. If you haven't run one yet, I think this is an example of the one that Hamid's running in the Pennsylvania region. Even if you're late to the dance, you can still get started with this, and you can run it for the balance of this week. The only thing you have to do is come up with, something that's going to happen 100 times inside your region or inside your footprint, so you hopefully could award all the blocks. Let's say you don't have something that's going to happen 100 times, 100 sales or 100 racks or a combination of things to score points. As you can see here, Hamid's using termite TC ancillary. If you rack the job, it gets an extra block. He's selling some recurring pest control. And then he breaks down some prizes. I'll leave that up to you guys to figure out. I'll link up in the email that I'm going to send the screen recording to you. Some of the different contests. So let's say you filled up your board and you want to run another one. This is something I did way back when, in 2008. I got back into the dusty closets in my bedroom and pulled some of this stuff out on a drive. So this is an example where maybe you want to try to fill up another block, or you want to finish out a week of the contest, and so you got 40 blocks. So you just simply use the kind of the same Squares concept. You just do the total of the last digits at the end of each quarter, winning. So the score was 21-7. The number would be 8, and whoever had 8, in that quarter would win. So you kind of get the idea there. Again, I'm going to link some of those up for you to run some contests. The other thing that you might want to get ahead of as well, and here's an example, and I'll share this with you as well. This is a March Madness contest that I ran way back. I guess the last time I was in RSM in 2008, and just a March Madness contest that really rounds it out. You run it for the whole month. Thinking, you break it down by weeks and days, and you take it down to a final round where you match your salespeople up. You do some seeding just like you would do in the big dance tournament, and you take it from there. The one thing I learned when I started running this is you need to have a consolation bracket, and you'll see that here, because you don't want to knock half your team out in the first week or so, or first week or 10 days of the contest. So I'll share that with you as well in the email that I share this screen recording. So you've got those kind of contests going on. If you haven't, it's not too late, I guess, for a Super Bowl block contest to run, to kind of stir some activity this week to get kind of out of the gates, and then you might want to start teeing up your March Madness contest. Again, the one I share with you, I think, is 32 teams or 32 players. You can expand that to 64, whatever you've got, and if you've got an odd number, you give your big hitters, you give your top players. You give them some buys to kind of even out the mix. If you got any questions on it, feel free to call me and let me know. The next thing I want to talk about is scoreboards. So if you're like most any good wired sales manager, you're checking to see how you're doing against your team, right? Your peers, I guess. This happens to be the division ending, or the company ending DOR, where I'm sure your division sales managers are out there comparing themselves, how they're doing to their peers, and I think you all do the same thing. And I guess the message would be quite simply to, are you giving a scoreboard to your team, right? Are you giving this scoreboard to your team? My guess would be that many of our region sales managers take a pretty good glance at those numbers when they hit your inbox at 10 p.m. Eastern, and that's about to happen here pretty soon. So those will come in there. So again, you guys and gals are seeing a scoreboard on a pretty regular basis. You're leaning into it. You're saying, oh, how did I measure up against this group or that group? And boy, I beat these two. I didn't beat these two. Or man, I got some work to do. Or man, I'm on top of the game, so I'm the top dog. So think about how you look at it competitively as a sales manager, and think about our salespeople. And are you providing a scoreboard to your salespeople, on a fairly periodic basis? You all have access to it one every day. What if you just put a scoreboard together and post it on your group me or your Teams chats or whatever Slack, whatever kind of mechanism you're using to communicate with your sales team on a regular basis? What if you gave them a scoreboard? I've got some examples of some. There's obviously the termite results for January. If you look at that, we were 117.9% the last year, but 91% to plan. So I don't know what's going on with those ADVPs or those division presidents giving us a 30% budgeted increase, but it is what it is, and we're going to catch it up, and we'll get after it certainly in February. But when I'm talking about scoreboards, here's an example of one that the SoCal region, Kevin Tinsley and his group out there and Ron Evans put together. They've been running with this for a long time. They recognize at the end of the period the top dogs, and they do solds. And as you can see there, they break it down. They've got some account managers out there. They're recognizing some technicians in this form. And you can see they're actually doing the branch sales to plan as well. So a really cool way to communicate, once a month. But then you've got some scoreboards here. These I kind of like. You always got to be careful when you're dealing with the sales scoreboard with salespeople. Are you just recognizing the top one or two guys that are always at the top? Are you just kind of calling out the folks that are at the bottom? That they're struggling. You got to kind of stay focused on that 60%. And I like the way that we color code this one, if they're on mark and, whatever kind of goals or numbers that you have set in your region, red's bad, obviously, yellow's okay, and green is where you want them in that sweet spot. So I think this one's from North Florida. You'll see a few more of these. And some of the regions, I know some of the RSMs out there are doing a great job of putting these up every month, every week. And I would encourage you to find a day to do that. Be it a Friday, be it a Saturday, be it a Monday, whatever you want to do to share this with your team, every week so that your people can see the scoreboards. I think this one, again, with the color code and you're seeing on these sales ladders, taking it down to where you're ranking every salesperson in the group. I think this one's from Maryland. And then here's an interesting concept that Cliff Brown uses in the Illinois region, where he goes down and he recognizes obviously where they're at month to date. This is January 22nd. I pulled these off some old group me's obviously and just took some snapshots, so they're not real clear, but they are when they get served. Cliff runs a monthly or a weekly update, that kind of shows them where they're at month to date, and he also carries it out all the way to the year to date. Obviously, the numbers are fairly similar for the year to date. These are completions, and you got solds on the other side. The one good thing about scoreboards, I think that. I hear from a lot of the RSMs, well, we don't have it in the system yet. We don't have it in the system yet. They're not getting the sales posted. What I always had liked to do was to use the stuff that's in the system, to pull the numbers right out of Boss and then posting them out on your group me's or your Teams chats and letting your salespeople kind of do the work for you by saying, hey, my number's wrong, and you just simply kick it back and say, hey, get with your boss. I'm just pulling numbers from what's in the system. And I know there's different schools of thought. Are you posting sales in the system? Are you posting completions? I'm okay with either one, quite frankly. But make sure you're pulling numbers out of the system so that you can help yourself by posting these numbers and having one of those noisy salespeople say, hey, my number's wrong. And you just simply push right back and say, hey, man, tell your boss to get it fixed. So, again, just some more examples of some scoreboards. This is a pretty cool one that Gary Hubbard has taken on. And I think Gordon does something down in the South Central Division. But the Midwest puts out periodically a top 10 for the entire division. And this is where your big dogs can compete against each other, right? So, you see a Roger Kennedy sitting down there at number 9. I'm sure he's not happy that he's at number 9. But again, the using a scoreboard with the Salesforce is something that you need to think through. You need to really understand what you're doing and how you're motivating. If you look back at Cliff's here, he's got some folks down there. He's got all his rookies mentioned as rookies and measured as rookies, so they're competing kind of against each other. So I think that's a cool thing to do. You don't want to. You don't want to humiliate or embarrass somebody that's it's been here for 6 months. So you want to make notice, when they're growing and making big steps and really recognizing those performances as you do that. So that's really all I have for you tonight. Look, I'm gonna talk. The next time I come back to you, I'm gonna talk about what are we giving for prizes? What are we using for prizes? And what matters. So the next time I reach out to you, I'll do that. So again. Hopefully this will become a regular occurrence where I'm just reaching out to you folks exactly. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut